Streaming. I'm YouTube Live, y'all. I'm famous.
Yeah, we spent like a good couple hours on trying to get the OBS thing to work.
Yeah.
Then it turns out the network doesn't allow it.
Well, it looks like we're doing good. Is it just different?
No, this is.
Well, we tried a different configuration. Originally, it was planned that we would have you would have kind of your laptop and the webcam pulled together on the broadcast laptop. But the network wasn't allowing them to discover each other.
That's how she goes, boys. That's how she goes. Sorry for invading your personal space, my dear.
I liked it. It was fine.
Good enough.
Scott, right? Can you reach that?
I sure can.
Awesome. See?
It's good to be the king.
It definitely is.
Awesome. Move it. You wanna?
How far off are we?
It's 12:55.
12:55.
Probably an hour and 5 minutes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tried reaching it.
That's what chairs are. That's what chairs are. I mean, not these, but there are some.
Do not do that.
There's some
Please
with
do not do
Power Wheels
that.
on
I
them.
collected all the emergency contact information, but that was not a challenge. That was that was for just in case.
Ooh, that went way too far. How do I go back?
Let's hope it's not a one-way rotation.
That'll take a while.
Well, now it's 12:56.
I'll just let it keep going.
Wait, what?
Yeah, it was doing that
I
yesterday.
have no idea, man. How many software developers does it take to reset clock? Hit this button.
Well, I don't think that's what it's supposed to be. You know what? When it doesn't work, it's a very simple thing you do with technology. Stop it.
A little bit more PC.
Well, that makes sense.
3 minutes.
There you go. Oh, well.
Now we're at 3.
What was the stop time here? 4:35.
What the hell's the dial?
5:30.
There isn't one.
What? What did
That's
you do?
what I was saying.
Most of
How's
that
it
is
weird?
hopefully going to be.
Figured these, so you have minute.
I don't know if you talked
You know
to
what?
Ali about it. The
Forget
idea was
this.
to kind of give.
We should just let it keep going.
Security to give
Oh,
them
I
some
see.
fixes,
I
kind of
see.
give them a challenge. Or
There you go.
something.
See,
Oh, I
let
see.
it go.
A lot of it is going to be kind of.
Oh, until it gets to the right
Yeah,
thing.
well,
So then
this
how do you
is what
stop
he
it?
calls
Okay.
And then I think Ali will be back.
switch it off to.
Definitely by 5.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna save all the crappy
Maybe we
code.
should do
Set
the
a
hour
clock.
first.
I'm gonna save all the crappy code for when he gets here.
Is that the hour?
Write it all backwards. Just put the clock in another room. I think we'll be all right.
Are you sure?
No, it's so
This
it
is-
doesn't
this is
have a
important.
dial, so you have to like. It goes on its own. You press a button, it goes on its own.
And do you press the button again when you want it to stop? Or
I'm hoping so.
That's
that's what you're
the idea. I'll leave you in charge of this.
Right.
Call me when you need to put
Yeah, I
it
have
back
no
up.
idea.
Nice.
The guy with the clock.
Teamwork.
Make the dream work.
Yes.
Run it across the other.
They about ready to roll? They need
They
more
are.
time?
They are good to go. They are.
I'm sure they can hear everything I say.
We could probably just Google the time.
It's just bothering. It was bothering him that.
See what I did there?
Yeah, boy.
Well, maybe next time you have a question, I can say Google it.
That's what I tell my kids.
How do I?
Then you have like cereal based.
Yeah. It's okay to ask the question if you Google it and you didn't find the answer.
But I have no idea how to stop it.
And I will come over here and show you how to Google it better.
Try to just that little button.
Keywords are important.
Stopped it. Did I? See if you can stop it now. Switch it.
Oh, there you go.
Now we gotta go another 12
It's
hours.
noon now.
Oh, so
Let's do it.
Let's leave it at
It
noon.
is time.
10 seconds.
Well, we nailed it now.
yeah, it's 12.
All right.
It's back to 1 hour behind.
At least I'm not the only one failing here today. Yeah. All right, let's get it on. All right, pencils down, everyone. Pop quiz, hot shots. All right. It's okay to suck at all this stuff. It is. It's all right. Everybody does. You know, I've changed careers about 75 times in my life. Once I finally get good at something, I hate it, and I start doing something different. So I'm sure we're all kind of in the same boat. This was the philosophy of the Army. You know, you always, and it's something that I took away from it. It's very important. We're all smart. We're all good. It's just a matter of hard work. That's the difference between the people who succeed and who don't. It's who puts in the work. So every task you try to learn, try to remember: crawl, walk, run. You know, you got to crawl before you can walk. You got to walk before you can run. It's really important. If you try to start downloading stuff like I've been telling you to do, and you don't spend the time and the work and the effort and the suffering, especially the suffering, to figure out what's going on in there, then you're at the run phase without having gotten through the wall. So even though I'm telling you to cheat, make sure you understand what you're stealing. So as you go through. So next up is important. You don't need me. You don't need this class. There's things besides YouTube. There's things besides Khan Academy. I want somebody to Google the HTML manual. It's out there. Go ahead and do it. I want somebody to tell me who owns it. Who has the manual? It's pretty popular. W3 schools. All right. None of those links that are returned actually say manual, but Google's pretty smart. All right, what are we doing next? CSS? Type that in. Everybody's, we got some college kids in here. How much time do you spend in the classroom versus the at-home studying? What is about 5 hours for every hour of class?
Yeah.
That sucks. I couldn't do that. I failed out. But with this, I probably spent 1,000 hours for every hour I've spent in the class, easily. And it's not hyperbole. Big word. So, you know, the point here, we're gonna shift gears. We're gonna start jacking in some CSS, and that's cool. And some of you guys are already way ahead, and I expect you guys to be done with some JavaScript by the time I'm talking here, and that's cool. But if you don't understand something, you know, like I said this morning, this is just a little bit more of a after lunch kick in the pants. Y'all can figure it out. Okay, is another word for waterfall, right? So we're cascading here. I guess I need to stay here. The bottom of the waterfall is here. Now I'm kind of waving my hands over some CSS stuff here, but I want to talk about cascading just a minute, just to show you how super complex this stuff can be and how you have to keep it simple. So that is the bottom of the waterfall. Style, color, orange, right? So if I'm going to do some hacking here as we're sitting here, so just bear with me. All right, save that. So that's basic, right? But what's going on? The second P tag, which means paragraph, right? The second paragraph is style, color, orange. That is the inline CSS statement. That is the bottom of the cascade, bottom of the waterfall. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go on up the waterfall here. So that's in line, if you will, on line 16 there. So I also have some super special, awesome tag called style, 7 through 10. Okay? Now, that is another way of cascading. And I know some of you guys are working ahead because you're super smart. Y'all like cheap. And you guys were already asking me questions about, I think it was Scott, was asking me a question about why on earth would I do what I'm doing on 7, 8, and 9. Why don't I just do 16? Line 16. All right. How many P tags do I have? 2. How many times am I have to write that statement on 16? David don't work hard. I don't know if y'all picking up on that a little bit, right? I cheat. And I'm gonna do the easiest way I possibly can. And for now, for current David and for future David. Right? Future David is lazier than current David. It's a slow, steady decline. Right? So if I do, I'm gonna remove the comments as we go up. If I do that instead of that, how many P tags am I affecting on line 9? 2. Not rocket surgery, right? So that is the middle of the waterfall in the cascade. We're cascading down. There's a lot of things I'm lying to you about right now. There's a lot of parts and pieces to this, right? I'm making it so you guys can kind of get the crawl phase here, right? Now it gets complicated and there's a whole lot of things going on, but for our intents and purposes here, just bear with me. All right, one more link up the old waterfall here, line 4. Now, given that I already gave you the answer, Scott, or you gave me the answer, and I gave you the answer, and then something happened. All right, why would I do line 4 as opposed to line 9? As opposed to line 16? Give me a 500-word essay.
Sure. So this references out to, you can see the REL, that references out to the style sheet. That's a spot where you separate it from the rest of your code, where you can have all of your styles in one spot that you can refer back to as a reference.
How does, I don't know if I can hear Scott, so I'll reiterate what Scott said, invisible people. He said that it links out to a style sheet in another area. It's perfect. But the question is how does that feed David's laziness?
Well, your link automatically, by putting it in the head, that connects to the whole rest of your page that you've done here. And so you can do what's called a class, and that's what you're creating there, a sheet of classes.
Fancy.
And that class can then be applied to all of the keys individually.
Yep.
Or to whatever you want the class to do. So for example, you could create an italics class or a bold class and have every single time you put bold, so it would look P class equals bold, and that will turn whatever's in P bold.
Here's what Scott's saying. I have 1,000 web pages. I'm only writing that crap once. And I need to not put that style tag in 1,000 pages. Isn't that what you said? Perfect.
Word for word.
Good job. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write line 4 1,000 times. I am not going to write line 7 through line 10 1,000 times. How much work did I just save myself? Almost a Starbucks worth. All right. So that's the point, is that I say laziness, but it's also maintainability. That's a key word. Write that one down. Maintainability. If you do anything in your world, I've talked about this before, it is splitting code out into different places. Being able to go back and not hate yourself later on is called maintainability. I can maintain this code. It is not littered throughout my 10,000 line HTML document that I literally want to quit my job right now because I did that. You do not want to quit your job. They will not hire you back. Actually, I got hired back. All right. So, let's look at the cascade. Somebody tell me, and by somebody I mean you, Scott, tell me the pattern of line 8. What is the pattern there? What do I mean when I'm trying to draw everybody's attention to a pattern? Send it. So, nope, she raised her hand, so you failed, Scott. Go.
All right, in line 8, we started with an element title. So body came into space, then we had open curly brackets to then define what characteristic we are going to alter.
All right.
In this case, we're doing background color, and then we use the colon to tell it what actual color, and then finish with the semicolon.
Do I need to be super intimidated when I look at that?
It's the same pattern over and over.
Because I know what the word background color means, right? It's not intimidating. In my travels throughout Mordor, I have seen many things. And I forget languages like you wouldn't believe. But at the end of the day, don't be intimidated. You can just read the words sometimes. Just take a moment, read the words. Just try to find the pattern in what you're seeing. Everybody sees the semicolon. What do you think that means? That's the end, right? We're going to see that in JavaScript here in about 30 seconds. We're going to see that again. What do the curly brackets do?
Section.
They contain, right? It's a section that contains things. We're going to see that again. What else on there contains things? Hint, line 7 and line 10. It's a container, right? A style tag contains things. You're going to see these patterns for the rest of your life. You will walk down the street and you'll be like, oh, that parking sign starts there and then the other parking sign's on the other end. That's a container. That's just, if you start to see the patterns in the matrix, you will see redhead, blonde, brunette. All right, let's see the cascade. All right, I'm going to comment things out, which I'll just wave my hands over for a minute and act like you guys know what I'm talking about when I say that. Anybody have an idea? Why am I commenting this stuff?
So that it blanks it out.
It's not used. So if I wanted to add a bunch of comments in here to Future Dave, I could do that. Of course, Future Dave ain't going to read it either. All right. So, looking at what I have right here, hopefully if I haven't screwed anything up by trying to code and talk and think at the same time. And it looks like I did okay. The only style here, let me open up my best friend. I am going to go to let me try to do this. I'm on. Yeah, if I didn't have the fingers of a gigantic man. All right, forget about it. So, this is orange, and if I click on it, look at that. Guess what I can do right here? Red. Bam! That's pretty cool. So if remember that whole image we were having to look at from marketing, because we hate marketing, and marketing gave us an image, we could sit here and have the image right next to each other, and we could sit here and start playing with the red, green, blue. We could start playing with the colors. You can do that live. I showed you that before. All right, so the cascade. All right, we're at the lowest level of the cascade because I commented this out. Now, look how I am not going to do anything on line 16. And so right now, what have I done? This is the point of the cascade right here. Whoever sees this gets a gold star. Why is this weird?
You have two styles dedicated to paragraph.
Okay.
You have the first one saying font's black, and then the second one saying, I'm telling you to be black, and now I'm telling you again to be orange too.
So what do you think 16 is going to do? Is it going to be black? Is it going to be orange?
Black.
It's going to be black.
Oh, we've got a whole raise our hand situation here. You're going to have to take a stand. It's going to be the North versus the South. All right. Everybody raise your hand.
Okay.
Black. High up. Own it. High up. Everybody look and defer shame upon these people when they are wrong. If you think orange, raise your hand. Oh, here we go. I'm not taking a stand because I wrote this code and I know it's terrible. So we'll see how it goes. All right. I am going to save Control S. If you don't know your keyboard shortcuts, you're wrong. Get right. Get right with the Lord. Learn your keyboard shortcuts. That's Control Z, Control X, Control Y, Alt S, Alt F. Learn those things. They will save your life. Alt Tab. If you don't know Alt Tab, you're wrong. If you're using your mouse, you're wrong. All right. Here we go. Everybody ready? It's orange.
Oh, poor shame.
Oh, man. All right. Everybody has said black's got to go. All right. Here we go. Cascade, right? You think it's going to cascade down. But the lowest level owns it. Think about how horrible that would be if everywhere I specifically said orange, whatever some other crazy programmer did in the style sheet overwrote what I did in my manual stuff. The lowest level owns it. Right? That would be awful if I had to deal with some marketing style sheet that got pushed down on me and I needed to make something cornflower blue or they were going to fire me. What would I do? I'd be broken because they're pushing down a style sheet on top of me. So if I overwrite it down here, it's not going to get me. Now there's ways around that. We won't talk about that right now. All right, just know that there are. In all these languages, there's hacks. And guess what you're going to do? You're going to go to Google and say, how do I override the CSS that's being pushed down on me? And you just do that, and it'll come down, and you'll figure it out. All right, we're only at the middle of the waterfall. So let me introduce you to my friend, Dave's Magic CSS, .css, just to make sure everybody knows it's CSS. All right, over here, guess what I got? Is that a different pattern than before? Huh?
Well, it's different brackets.
Just space out formatting.
Okay. All right, you sure? All right. That is more human readable. Definitely. Especially when I start putting a whole bunch of junk in there, like I'm known to do. So that is the preferred pattern for CSS. If you were to do a, there's all kinds of code formatters online. If you want to format your HTML, you want to format your CSS or format, just type that crap into Google. There's all kinds of online formatters, and they'll space it out and make it look all pretty and all that kind of stuff. All right. So, what's the P tag, Scott? I like saying P. What's it going to do?
Turn the text pink.
What text?
The text that's typed into the paragraph.
14 or 16?
14.
It's going to turn 14 pink. He's going to own it. All right. I'm going to uncomment. It's just because yours is the only name I can remember right now.
I'm not special.
All right. Let's see. I'm gonna make sure I saved everything here. Save. I might crash and burn. Save. Refresh. Nothing's happening.
That's because we still have the inline on, so that's still active.
What happens? Let's see what happens here. Weird. There's all kinds of stuff going on here. And it sucks. All of it. It's terrible. Guess what you got to do? Prototype. Test. What helps you out doing that?
Lots of saving, lots of...
F12. F12. I can come in here and see Dave's Magic CSS is applying the background color. I can come in here and I can figure out by using my little pointer deal what's going on right here. Okay, Dave's Magic CSS is being overwritten and it's orange because the element style. But that little line right there, I can turn it on, I can turn it off. I can come in here and change it, the colors, which I've already shown you like 4 times now. All right, I just think that's cool. All right. So here's the point. You need to experiment. There's all kinds of tags, and I'm going to show you a couple of them here. There's all kinds of CSS. There's just as much CSS, if not more, than there is HTML. I mean, it is large, and there's manuals, and it takes time, and you need to find examples, and you need to learn. There's some important stuff. You can do a lot of more specialized formatting, like moving things around better. You can move things around a lot easier in CSS than you can in HTML. You have a lot more control over moving things around. That's really important. I'm going to show you some of that coming up. But the hardest thing about CSS, and I have been in the trenches of CSS, horrifyingly so, with multiple layers of CSS coming from all kinds of places. Because in SharePoint, is anybody, SharePoint's a Microsoft tool, it's a gigantic intranet plus Office suite plus email client. I don't know, it's just ridiculously large. But Microsoft has its own style sheet. The corporation has its own style sheet. Whatever crap code I'm writing probably has its own style sheet. So I've got multiple layers of style sheets coming down and getting pushed down and pushed around. I have no idea what's going on 90% of the time. Why is this line blue? Why am I being spaced out over here and it's not lining up correctly? Half the time I'm not getting it, right? And I've got to come in here to F12 and I got to dig into the CSS and I got to figure out, I got to turn stuff on, I got to turn stuff off. I got to kind of debug. Everybody knows where debug comes from, right? ENIAC machine, moths flew in the wires, and they had to go and clean off the moths, right? So you got to come in here and debug what you're doing. So what I want you to do right now, so that I can set up the next piece of this nasty CSS stuff with the positioning, is if you haven't already done so, I'm going to pull it up here real quick. Do an inline color, like I'm doing right here on one of your tags. Do a body style. Make your background some sort of professional or non-professional color, preferably non-professional. And then do that on your resume for me real quick. Do the background color in the style tag up in the, well, I got all kinds of head tags here. Nice. Up in the head. And then do an inline. And then we'll talk about a link. If you guys are feeling awesome, get after it. Do your own CSS style sheet, pack it in next to your HTML document, and do it. So for right now, for the next 20 minutes, why don't y'all go ahead and get after that real quick if you haven't already. And if you've already got that done, call me over and I'll take a look at the JavaScript casino you already have written. Let me take a look at it.
Do you want them to install Notepad++?
Nah, that's too complicated. We'll just keep it simple. All right, let me make sure.
No questions.
No questions. All right, thank you, brother. Who's lost? Don't be shy. You ain't gonna learn nothing if you're shy.
What do you want us to do again?
Do the 16, do the 7 through 10, and if you're feeling awesome, do the 4. Make a cascade.
What's the best? What's the best?
4 is the best. If you can't do 4, I'm disappointed in you. You can do it. You just have to endure the suffering. In my experience, marketing gets style sheets a lot. They'll push it on you. Sometimes.
Oh, I see. That's not possible. No, because if you're good at writing, you would. It's not possible. No. Unless like we said, if it's a long reading, then keep it deep. Then you can't read What's her name?
You're famous.
Special to me, Scott.
Thank you. That means a lot.
It shouldn't. All right, 5 more minutes. We're going to drive on. Who ain't getting it? Don't be shy. You ain't going to learn nothing if you're shy. Be wrong. It's good to be wrong. All right.
Can you create a master sheet there? A master sheet. No, it's on W3, but creating a master sheet's on the
1 minute.
I guess it's just a simple.
The pressure's on. All right, again, pencils down. So, this is a lot of work. There's things out there you can use to make this easier. There you can buy libraries, you can use Twitter Bootstrap, whatever that means. There's all kinds of things you can do. So don't get frustrated, but let's keep going. All right, so on 11, I have done something special for Scott because I didn't want him to feel like it wasn't appreciated. Okay. So what I've done is, I talked a little bit about this before, but I'm going to go ahead and say it again because it's incredibly important. What is the pattern that I have done on 22? Why am I calling that a pattern? Why does it matter for our larger engineering pursuits? Anybody have any thoughts? Go ahead, sir. Send it.
So that it pick places within the style of the document. The alignment, center, position.
Okay. What about 22 and giving it an ID? What do you think that does?
That creates a special container.
It makes it special. We're going to be saying that word a couple of times because Scott's special.
Special.
And I made his PP tag special. Okay? So,
Yellow bus special.
yeah, it's special. Special forces. Okay. So, why do I want that to be special? In this context, it seems silly. I've got 7 tags in here, right? It ain't that big a deal. But how many web pages how many tags do you think a regular web page has got? 450 million thousand, right? Okay. So you might need to have special tags in there. You might need to have special paragraph tags, right? You might have to do that. And there's lots of ways to find those tags. How are we finding it? CSS is finding it, right? It almost seems like there's some artificial intelligence in the background right there, right? Think about what's happening. It's insane if you really think about it. You have Internet Explorer or Chrome, and you're passing in a bunch of text, and then I did something on 11, and then Chrome is taking the tag from 11 and is reading all of the text and is saying, It's making a decision. This thing is sentient. It's alive. That's pretty crazy if you really think about it. It's doing some pretty significant. Go, sir. Go ahead.
So everything above the paragraph there within the body, that applies to anything that it can find that is your special Scott, and then below still is the final color orange style equals color orange paragraph that applies to the rest of the document.
Right.
I mean, that's the...
You can see it, right? It's yeah. You know, it's very linear. We said that before. We're saying again, this is a very serial process. It's very linear. It is like 1986 Go language. If anybody did that in middle school like me in Montgomery, Alabama. But it processes line 1, and it says, do I need to do something? No, doc type, HTML, cool, whatever. Like you're going to send me nuclear plans or something, CAD drawings. Next is HTML, okay. It reads it. It is alive. Number 5, it is. It's alive. Okay, so when I set up 11, I basically said, hey, buddy, hey, CSS engine inside of whoever is reading this, whether it's your smartphone Safari or whether it's Chrome, they all have their own CSS engines. Anybody ever heard anybody complain that something looks different on one phone than the other, or one Chrome, it looks different than the other? You just learned exactly why that is. You can go and tell your friends, well, that's because the CSS engine isn't working correctly in that browser. Right? That's because there is an engine reading that, and it's smart, and it like says, oh, okay, text align center for the ID. You're special, Scott. Am I reading that right?
Actually, yours spelled incorrectly.
Yeah.
No, it's
programmers do not
special
spell
Scott.
correctly. That's a rule.
Our special one.
So what we're doing here is, again, I want you to see the pattern, because the pattern is more important than CSS. The fact that we gave it a variable name, the fact that we set an ID on a tag, the fact that we're accomplishing something in a very linear fashion, this is very much programming 101 right here. So it gets harder, but what we're doing here, I wanted to show you some more tags. So this tag, let me take it out real quick. Let me show you before and after, because that makes a lot more sense if I can hit the right keys and talk and think at the same time. All right, so that's commented out, right? Hopefully, if I haven't done something stupid. All right, so I want you to just absorb the ridiculousness of what I'm fixing to do. Here is far, far away, behind the word mountains, whatever that means, far, far from the countries of, I'm going to stop reading because there's some hard words. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to align the text in the center. I'm going to fix the position, and I'm moving it to bottom 0, right 0. So it goes from here, and it's going to move it all the way down here. Watch this crap. All right, this is the power of CSS. This is the power of this battle station. Here you go. Boom! I didn't change the HTML. In fact, if I go in here, do a little view source, ain't nothing changed. So I want to show you this pattern because I want you to think about JavaScript next. What we did here is we used a language, if you will, it's not quite a language, but it's close enough, to move parts of a page around, rename it, do all kinds of crap to it. There's 5 billion CSS tags, and I have no idea what they all are. If I need to do something, I go and say, Google, how do I make it 15-point font and Courier New only when the page is in post instead of get? I can do crap like that, right? Because I can Google like everybody else. All right, so here's the point. I need to manipulate the screen. You guys are building your resumes, you're doing all that stuff, you're kind of getting the point. You're going from plain text, you're adding in tags, you're giving it formatting, you're doing all kinds of cool guy stuff, right? Well, HTML can only get you so far. It is limited in its abilities, like all of us. Now, CSS can take you a little further. Okay? It does some pretty crazy stuff. I think I've proven that. Now, what do you think JavaScript does if we're thinking about the patterns here?
Even more.
Power. Okay. So, I want you guys to Google how to do cool guy stuff in CSS. Add some of that stuff to your resume, if you wouldn't mind, and let's spend about 10-15 minutes hammering this point home. I need you to put an ID on something in there and apply a special tag to it, just so that you get the point. Because that ID is very, very, very important. If you take nothing else but the jokes away from here for the next section in JavaScript, please do the ID. Because I want you to really start getting the point that programming is weird. Okay. All right. Where's my damn voice? Who needs help? Raise your hand. Let's go. We got all these people here ready to help. Let's do it. Who don't got it? Show me your work. You check everybody on that side, make sure they're not lying. All right, pencils down. I require full attention. Because of my ego. Who's not getting it? Now's the time. It gets harder from here. We're going to cross the Rubicon. On deep, dark halls. Moria. What are you drawing? Send it.
Can I tell her how to override stuff?
Please, please do. Do not stop at anything I've said. That's her. What does it say?
So you have to do inline.
Is it in the same file location?
Yes.
And whatever command you set it to,
I double check the name to make sure it was the same and everything, but not
so
something I
with that explanation, what it does is it makes it import.
Take stuff out. So is the style, tag, interfering with whatever you have in your CSS?
No, because it wasn't even doing anything before I installed that. It felt like working fine, but I guess like.
What's your page look like? You got everything set?
Yep.
All right. What's your expectation of it should look like?
Well, if I have the CSS says that the background color should be pink. The text color should be pink. Yeah, it's not.
Why don't you just create a table?
Which one is your feet?
If you want those things, you can use it beyond that.
ID, special tag.
Now, before I did that, it wasn't pink.
Okay, you can do that too. You just kind of multiple rules of it. So if you are.
And you think that one right there should be
Create
a
two tables.
Should be the same.
You know,
Your special tag. That's your special tag.
and move it from the table and do whatever you want.
Code that's got.
So show me your special tag
Or
selector.
whatever CSS.
Okay.
Okay, so it should be red.
So it is.
Okay.
Copied and pasted this code
Yeah.
for this typewriter thing. I think that would be neat.
The special tag. The text.
And I put it in there,
Do it.
You figure out what you want to do.
but it doesn't work.
The markup thing, master thing,
Is there something? And I referenced to type like my experiences, and I put div class typewriter H1 right down here. somewhere in this place.
So it looks like
Somewhere, just, oh, there it is. Diff Pass typewriter you want.
my resume, line 11. So go to line 11.
You need anything else? Go back up.
But like,
What do you copy? Okay,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yes. And it's not doing whatever it is it's supposed to do? It's not.
What is it supposed to do?
It's supposed to type the words.
Oh.
Each letter.
It's possible that it's, is it definitely only a CSS effect? You don't need JavaScript or anything for it?
Not on that one. There are a couple that were.
I'm not sure then, without looking at
Okay.
the actual thing.
Well, thank you for
It looks like you did
consultation.
everything right.
Thank you.
As far as I can.
That's just going a bit more beyond, but
I expect a full-blown blackjack casino. Stay up all night doing it.
I don't play blackjack. I play Texas Hold'em.
Okay.
that's better.
You think that changes my mind? And it's Texas Hold'em? You have presented me with no challenges.
Make it work.
He's creating an entire website, and one page will be resume on that.
Nice. I bet if you Google JavaScript Texas Hold'em, there's probably a lot around.
This is a plugin.
Do it. Type it in. Let's see what happens. Just do it. Just do it. Do it. Let's see what you got.
Keep your website game on this side. Favorite game, plugin, click.
Yeah, I mean, building games is your thing. Build live JavaScript games and browsers, and come back 3 days from now, and I'll be like, student has become the master. All right, how we doing? Ready? All right, pencils down. Let's take a look here real quick. I got some more awesome suffering for all of you. Okay. So, we all get it, right? We're ready for straight up JavaScript functions. Okay. So, an ID specifically identifies a tag. So, we're specifically identifying the P tag on 28 as your special Scott. Why can't I do that to the P tag on 29? Who understands the pattern?
ID can only be applied to one.
Why?
As it is so specific that the idea behind it is it's only supposed to be able to alter one thing, an entire web page.
You're absolutely right. The CSS reader is not smart enough. It's not smart enough. Will it break the web page? Probably not. Is it terrible coding? Yeah. All right. So the question begs, how do I apply a style to two different things? Well, we understand that we can use a P style like we do on line 9, and that applies to all the PPs in there, right? But what if I want to go wild and I want to apply that to headers and P tags and divs, and I just want to go nuts? Well, luckily for you, CSS is extremely complicated and will cause you more grief than you could possibly imagine. And what it has is this handy dandy feature called classes. And a class is a fancy way of doing more than one ID. That's it. And what you're seeing right there on 27 and 29 is an incredibly fancy thing that I've made, which is I applied the class to both a header and a paragraph tag called David has class. And that is a class. Have I said class enough? And then what you see on line 11 through line 14 is my class. Tell me the pattern difference between 11 and 16.
Hashtag?
The millennials say hashtag, the pound sign, and the period is there. Okay, so are you ever going to remember that? No. I'm shaking my head no. Okay. So, yeah, a few among you have better recall than me, I'm sure. And you'll be able to remember the difference between class and ID. You know, awesome. But me, I have to look it up because I don't do this stuff but every 18 months randomly, and I cannot remember stuff like that. But luckily, we can go out and read the manual, right? So when you forget stuff like that, what's the most important concept to understand then? CSS sucks. No. CSS is very flexible, and you can do a ton of things with it. And it is all kinds of craziness. And there are massive amounts of tutorials out there to walk you through all this stuff. And there's actually builders that will build CSS files for you, applying styles, doing all that stuff. There's integrated development environments that will apply colors. You can do all of this stuff in easy mode. It's important you understand how the sausage is made is all. So, you know, if you need to hack it, the boss calls you at 2 in the morning on a Saturday, and I shake my head because I've been there, and I've done that. And he says, hey, we're in a meeting to sell the company in Washington, and they want 15 changes to this website before they're going to buy us. And I'm like, oh, we're getting bought? That sucks. Sure, I'll make those changes right now, live in production. And guess what? You need to understand how the sausage is made in order to be able to hack into that kind of stuff. That's the point, if you're thinking about it. Hey, Dave, there's all these generators and fancy IDEs out there. That question should be going through your mind. Why am I learning all this stuff when you're saying, go figure it out? Well, the point is that you need to be able to dig in and execute tiny stuff like this. And if you don't understand sometimes the minutia between languages, between CSS and how it works, you know, it's okay. You don't need to understand how a V8 engine works, right? But you know the cylinders, you know there's a head, you know there's wires, plugs, you know something's missing, right? If you understand that there's wires and plugs and a radiator and all those things should be in there, you might understand that a radiator cools it because it radiates heat. But do you need to understand the boiling point of water is raised by X% because you have fluid from the antifreeze in there? Do you need to understand that kind of thing in order to execute? Can you look it up on Google real quick to figure out how much antifreeze you need in there? It's the same kind of thing. So there's a dichotomy here, and I'm trying to draw the line for you. So the dichotomy here is that on the one hand, I'm telling you that you need to understand the details, but on the other hand, I'm telling you you don't need to understand the details. And finding that fine line between those two is what makes you a good programmer. Because if you spend too much time learning CSS or learning JavaScript, then you're not spending enough time learning the 50,000 other things you probably need to learn, like, you know, .NET and Windows Server architecture and SQL Server, Transact SQL, store procedures. You know, there is, if you want to be a good engineer and make a whole lot of money, I need to know, literally for my job right now, I need to know 2 databases. I need to know 2 operating systems, 4 languages, 1 major deployed application from Microsoft, which is SharePoint. I need to understand, you know, CSS, HTML, and I need to understand the larger architecture of how the corporation is doing database servers. I need to understand. It's an incredible amount of information. You're not going to be a C# developer. I promise you. You're not. That is the language that you will know. That is not what you will do. You will spend as much of your time fighting bureaucracies, building servers, working with other people who do all this stuff. And if you focus a lot of your time on this minutia, you'll lose the broader picture. But if you don't spend enough time getting familiarized with this stuff, then you won't know the difference between an ID and a class. And you need to know those differences. You need to know those differences exist. Maybe you don't kind of remember the exact syntax. Maybe you don't remember where the semicolon goes. I forget all those little things all the time. That's okay. Doesn't make me a bad programmer. Open drawer, look at paycheck, close drawer, right? I'm good. So, you know, yeah, that kind of made sense to me right then to say all that stuff. I don't know if that is okay or not. But we'll, let's do this. Everything we do, we need to really hammer it home, especially some of these points that I think are larger. Other instructors might think some other points are larger. I don't know. But the more important piece here to understand, besides the difference between class and ID, is that there's a lot of ways to do things. And we need to do those things kind of different ways so that you can see there's about 50 ways to solve a problem. So let's solve the problem another way with what I have up there real quick. And let's give it 10 minutes or so. That's too nice. Just erase that. I put video on mine. Yeah. Y'all ain't done that yet? Nice. Yeah. All right. Show me up, guys. I ain't that good. Cool. Did you tell him I was cheating? Oh, he told the secret. You should have known I was cheating. Come on now.
Yeah, he's doing a YouTube video, so.
All right, here we go. You thought. Alright. Not only did I want to rickroll you, but there's also a tag down here if I can find it. I never can find it. Where are you, tag? Share. And where's the embed at? There it is. They change it all the time. So you called me a liar, sir. Now I got to really do it. So look at this. Anybody recognize this? It looks like HTML to me. Bam! This 175% stuff. All right. I got it. Copy. Let's see what we got in here. I just hacked the system. All right, height. All kinds. Oops. Nice. Source. There's all kinds of like properties in here too. We've seen this stuff before. Look at that. Bam. You like apples? How you like them apples? Oh, I gotta watch it on YouTube. Look at that. Look at these guys. Look at these guys. Oh man. All right. Let me see if I can find one. Oh, I'm like speaking in the microphone here. I'm sure they think I'm completely crazy. Alright. Oh yeah. I won't go anywhere bad.
Do it! Just do it!
Alright, I bet you I can do this one because this one doesn't have any copyright stuff on it, I don't think. Alright. Copy. Pasta. Boom. Control S, Alt Tab. I feel like a programmer already. Ah. That's beautiful.
Do it! Just do it! Don't let your dreams be dreams. Yesterday, you said tomorrow. So just Do it! Make your dreams come true! Just do it! Some people dream of success, while you're gonna wake up and work hard at it. Nothing is impossible!
Has everybody got a YouTube video on their resume yet? Why not?
Or anyone else who focused out. Some people dream of success. Dreams. Or anyone else. You're not gonna stop there. Just make your dreams come true. Nothing is impossible. Do it. Make your dreams come true. Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
All right. So, just, well, whatever you want.
Just do it. Just do it.
You know, do you? Whatever makes sense. So all that is an iframe, which is another fancy HTML amongst 100 million other HTML tags out there that you guys can recognize the pattern, right? If I want to change the width, how would I do that?
All right, Richmond filed a protest about being rickrolled.
Does the audio come through pretty good over there? Nice.
They still have to see they do it.
Oh, it didn't go through?
No, I'm sure they saw
okay.
it. I'm sure
All right. You be sure to let me know if they did not get Shia LaBeouf. Please. Or LaBeef. LaBeouf. All right, as much fun as that is, I would feel remiss if we didn't learn a couple of more things before I crush your brains into tiny, tiny pieces with actual programming. Who here wants to see the hello world? All right. Let's talk about a couple of other things. Let me get rid of Shy here just for a second. So there are like a couple of CSS pieces that Allie will probably not let me come back tomorrow if I don't mention. So there, I got a list of them here because I can't remember any of this stuff. That's how important they are. So the big things is moving things around. We saw that, right? We can move things around. We can make things wider and higher and lesser and smaller and bigger and all that kind of stuff. We can change the colors, la-dee-da, right? All day, every day. Trust me, when you start getting into making marketing happen, you're going to figure out that CSS is your best friend. So while I might be waving my hands over the complexities of CSS to this point, you will definitely be able to dig into that at your own leisure. And it will happen, and it will never end. So probably borders and floating. We talked about floating a little bit. Let's see. Overflows. Background. Let's do the background. That's pretty neat. You can do this for your resume here. Go ahead and work on your thing real quick. It'll take me 3 minutes to make sure I don't do anything stupid here real quick.
It's so stupid. So I was in this company as a web developer. They I don't know, while they were designing the web page for the design, they just Google stuff, finding it right. So they found this one plugin that pretty much costs about 100,000 bucks. But it was very exclusive. And they want us to use it. But like they have no idea it's a plugin. They just know, okay, it looks cool, we want it. And it goes to the supervisor who's in charge of the developer. They're just like, yeah, we can't do that. Like the fights marketing has with the supervisors is crazy. And then they give you something completely new while you finished half of it. Go away. Don't want you. There was a time it convert PDF into HTML straight. So like they give you a design, you put it online, converts it to HTML.
Maybe you can't do that kind of stuff anymore. And the background transparent. Let's just go in here.
Someone could drop this point so that better is active. The only other option is Alexander's. He may be tempered, that's it. Unless like now, it takes his name down. You know, Alexander's is number 3 in the world, not number 4 in the world, and he's not even reached the third continent. Yes, right, John.
I'm going to move this div around a little bit here. So, how wide is a pixel? Somebody Google that for me because I don't know the answer.
A nanometer?
A nanometer? All right, give me that in, let's say canaries. What do we got? Anybody Google it? $29. 28. Some pretty significant.
Relative to your display.
I'm relative to a whole bunch of my relatives. All right, so I'm moving it 1 pixel at a time. Check that out. It's pretty cool.
It's 1/75th of an inch.
1/75th of an inch. That's some serious control. So I'm moving that bottom div 1 pixel at a time. That's ridiculous. Send it.
If you want to upload a picture, you have to make your picture an HTML document first.
Good question. All right. No. Basically, if I'm going to steal pictures from the internet and I'm going to download them to my local computer and then I'm going to show those cat pictures in my resume, what I'm going to do is download them in whatever native format they are on Google. And I'm going to do that right now. So I'm going to go to the internets, and I'm going to go to Google, and I'm going to type in my favorite, I can't spell, cat gifs. Boom. All right. I'm going to go to images, and then I'm going to like dude here. I'm sure that's cool. Yeah. Come here. Alright. I never win. Alright, let me try that one there. Alright, there we go. Stop. Alright. Save image as. Alright. And then I've got my little thing right here, but you see that's a GIF. I don't need to change the extension. You know, I don't change it to HTML or any of that kind of stuff. I just steal it in whatever native format it is. Stolen GIF. Done. Save. So now I go back over to my little area here, my working folder, and I see stolen gif.gif because I'm from, there you go. Now all I got to do is take that stolen gif and make it, you know what, I messed all my stuff up. I'm just gonna go wild here. We're gonna do straight up coding. Image, SRC means what? Let's see how that does. Do I get my? Oh, it's probably not in the same spot. Cascade example. Cascade example. Bam. Yay! Alright. Can't get away. Gotta have the cats. Is that enough on thieving for today, or do we need more lessons on stealing? Let's do it! My favorite. Let's go to YouTube. I'm going to YouTube if you want to follow along on your picture pages at home. Tube. And I'm going to go to YouTube, and I'm going to, oh, that's got my name on it. That's embarrassing. Alright, so let's get Cat Plays Piano. Alright, very, very famous. The original. So now, alright, now I go down here and I do share, embed. And you know, YouTube in its infinite wisdom will change this place for this a million times. I think it used to be below the video, you could expand this out, now it's here. So now I hit embed, and then I get the iframe right here. So if you learn nothing else from me, it's how to get cat videos on your thing, your resume, your websites, your mother's Facebook page, whatever. Alright, and then I go back over here, and hopefully I copied and pasted it correctly. We're going to be doing live coding here. Hold on. Bam! Alright. Iframe. Width. Height. Love it. What am I doing right now?
Making more readable.
Making future Dave not hate me. I like it. This stuff is weird though. Allow full screen, autoplay, encrypted media. There's probably some YouTube-y things going on here, right? Do I need to understand that? Nah, I don't care. There's a lot of things that I just like wave my hands. I'm like, copy paste. All right, boom.
I'm sorry. How did you get the iframe parameter?
They were part of the actual.
Right. How did you put them?
They're right here. This is what I copied over.
So click on share and then embed.
Share and then sorry, I'll do those instructions again. The YouTube videos are popular today. I should teach everything via YouTube. All right, share, embed, and then the iframe is down here below. Now I'm at 107,000%, so everybody in Roanoke can see. But there's that right there. All right, so right click, copy, whatever you want to do here, right?
Do you have like advanced Notepad? Or, like,
I'm using Notepad++ because I got really tired of switching back and forth.
this is great. Okay.
You got stuff like that on your things, I'm sure.
Text editor?
we have EM editor, right? We have to pay for
Or
that
you can
eventually.
use,
What's the
no,
difference,
I
really?
think you can keep on using the free version. You just click every time that no, I don't want to.
Oh, okay.
But we also have Sublime.
Sublime
You should
editor.
have Sublime, and you should have Atom.
Why not use Notepad++? What is the difference? There isn't one? They're all kind of the same?
It's really,
yeah.
really a matter of preference and what you're used to. Yeah, now that but you know what? Just repeat the question to somebody who knows more than I do. Because
What was the question?
what's the difference between all these different text editors?
Different things.
Yeah, just learn the one you like. Nobody cares. It's really
Nobody
ridiculous.
cares.
So,
Yeah,
I mean, I guess there are a couple of ones that are better suited for some languages, or that.
Well, when you get into
have
big boy
libraries.
languages,
Big boy languages, exactly.
Yeah.
So there are some that have better extensions and libraries and support for specific languages.
Yeah, but
but for this
Yeah.
for this type of stuff,
Works with everything.
Notepad is fine.
No, that's correct.
I know, it's terrible. You have to make the spaces all yourself.
But I mean, the good thing about Notepad is that if you're using Notepad, then when you're learning, then you don't miss stuff that the editor does for you without you even noticing.
Right.
So, which is important. So it will catch and correct mistakes that you need to know that you're making them, because another editor might not catch them.
See, here's the thing. Once you start using boilerplate like Bootstrap and stuff, and you have no idea what the classes are. Like, you want Sublime or something, you know.
Yeah, so but for right now, I think doing it the hard way is the best way.
Yeah, the first time I learned it, it was not bad. Our professor didn't let us use anything else. He's like, no.
And as well, you shouldn't, or you shouldn't have, or she shouldn't have. Because,
Right.
Because the new ones do so much stuff for you that you need to know that those things are happening.
Yeah. You have to make the
Especially if
cookies.
you have something wrong, because the program may not always do what you want.
Yeah.
And you may have to go in and say, no program, this is not what I wanted, this isn't what I want, and you'll have to go in and edit it manually.
Right. Well, thank you.
Oh, can you put a div inside the table?
You want me to do that right now?
No, you can, right?
Can I do that?
No,
yeah,
it's
of course I can.
possible, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
He thinks.
No.
We don't know.
No,
Let's do
It's
it.
magic.
I don't see why not. So I just did not.
I'm gonna whip it out here real quick.
I had trouble getting the table to center.
What?
Table to center.
I mean,
so I was like,
as
put
long
it
as
in
I think
div.
the
It's
div will
centered
work
in
if it's
it.
inside. Yeah.
I told him to just take out the table entirely and just send
Yeah, tables are annoying.
it there.
Hey, Sasha, this is relevant to you.
Oh, what did I do?
This is why you don't use an editor sometimes.
No, it's a stupid keyboard.
What am I doing?
Where am I at? I am in below the iframe. Okay.
But see, that's what it has to be inside the cell. You can't just do it randomly anywhere.
Row is not a container.
Yeah.
TD is a container.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Exactly. God.
You didn't have to make it, I don't know, you should just put the.
It doesn't care. I don't think that's a valid
Yeah.
thing.
I think you need
Oh,
style.
yeah, you can't put a border on it.
Yeah. But I mean, it's. Would I ever do that? Probably not, because it's like a container within a container. I can give this cell an ID. So if I need to reference a particular cell, I can give that cell an ID.
Now, why? Because I think she was trying to. She had a common CSS for the whole thing, like the whole table, and then she was trying to change just the top parts. So I guess you can do that with just an ID too. And override it with the important. Yeah, but you can like override it by just putting an exclamation.
Let's talk about override. Let's do that real quick. That's a good point. Let's do important. All right.
Exclamation.
Important.
Yeah, that's exclamation.
You gotta write out important now.
That works with JavaScript too. Works with pretty much everything almost.
example here. All right, pencils down. Let's talk about a couple of little tiny things that I think it's time. So we're going to be talking about HTML, CSS, and JavaScript until you're sick of it. So we're just going to kind of skim over it a little bit today, and then we're just going to keep kind of covering it ad nauseum for the rest of the week. But I guess my point is that I'm going to kind of get into some JavaScript, and we're going to talk about coding a little bit, and then but don't think we're done with HTML or CSS or any of that kind of stuff. All right, so let's talk about one, maybe two little things here as far as CSS, because there's a ton of stuff that I probably glossed over, and I'll look at it tonight and make sure I cover what I missed, and I'm sure Allie will let me know, and Harper will let me know there's stuff that they want me to cover, and I'll get after it. But one thing I know is going to be important is the important tag. So did everybody witness me completely blowing up the cascade and how it didn't work? And how uncommenting one part, commenting the other, expecting it to come down, it didn't come down, and I explained the complexities of how CSS can really set you up for failure. Well, in their infinite wisdom, they realized that maybe we need a way to override, and I'm overriding. So what I'm going to do here, I've got a div right here, another container. All I'm doing is setting a style tag right here, background purple. All right, so if I save that, hit the old refresh button, background's purple of the div. Okay, now this is uncommented. Why is that not applying? Because of the cascade, right? This is applying only if this didn't have this style tag, right? I can do that real quick. I can take out the style tag, Control S, Alt Tab, F5. Now it's red, which is up at the top, right? But if I put that back in, Control S, Alt Tab, F5, it's purple. Now, let's just say I'm super lazy for argument's sake. right? I don't want to go reading some other guy's HTML. I ain't doing it. It's just not going to happen, right? And I've done my F12, and I can't get it, and I just want to override everything. Maybe, or let's think of a real life scenario. I mean, that was a real life scenario, but let's think of an actual business reason for using the important tag. Maybe there is a business rule that once something in your data processing has happened, you need to make everything red. Think you've incorrectly put text into a text box, right? Edit checking. You know, you need to, once the edit check and it's broken, you need to override every style on the page. You need to make everything red so that they know that they're fixing to drop the crane on the guy's head, right? So you may need to use that important tag. You may need to change your style sheet. There's things like that. So guess what the tag's name is? Important. So hopefully, ta-da, that'll override.
You should say
Go ahead.
The exclamation mark.
Oh, yeah. The pattern here is the bang. The bang is the deal. In programming world, that ain't no exclamation mark.
It's the bang.
It ain't no hashtag.
It's the bang.
It's bang and pound. All right. Go ahead. Send
Here's a
it.
question for you.
Send it.
What if the inline CSS also has an important
Let's do it. Love it. It might cascade. Let's see what happens. Bam! We're cascading. So F12 is your friend because you will get, if I do style and I select the div, you can see that this important was overridden on line 5, and honestly, I can click on it. That's pretty awesome. It takes me right there and shows me where it's not happening. But now I can do that, and then I can come in here, say that, get it back to where it was. You're going to want to use your F5. All right. Want to take a break real quick before we get into this? Yeah. All right. I need a break. Let's take a break. Yeah, let's take a break real quick. I'll rest my voice real quick. We'll get some pencils down, make sure everything. You're going to want to go ahead and kind of finish up your thoughts and stop thinking them, and then we'll get into some code.
Did you say when we're coming back? Just so I can tell her.
10 minutes.
10 minutes. Sorry? I don't know if anybody wants, I mean, there's no food, but there's those things. Trail mix stuff if you want to open it and see if anybody wants some trail mix? Snack packs?
Yes,
Trail
please.
mix snack thingies.
Okay, who wants trail mix?
I want to say there's enough for everybody, but I might be lying. Save one for David in case he wants one. Yeah, it's good deal.
Yeah, so Visual Studio is also so I can come here, do new, and let's just do these are all the different things that you do. Different Windows specific applications, shared projects, ASP.NET.
You want one? I think I can. Let me see it. There's enough of that. Oh, okay, good. Thank you, sir.
Hey, no one dropped it. Either everyone can catch or I can throw it in.
It's probably you throwing it well.
And then when you do that, the only thing that makes this bootstrap are these links. These links are what take it into bootstrap. Specifically this one. I guess some of you are, but and then from there you're just using the style sheets. And so honestly, yeah, all bootstrap is it gives you just a shit ton of styles already done, which is so nice. And then it just becomes knowing bootstrap and the different styles, sizes, generic HTML. So, if you want to compare visual to Visual Studio, and Visual Studio, it makes it so much easier because it automatically completes all of your styles for you, it fills in things, it has way more intuitive stuff.
Have you worked with Dreamweaver? I was going to ask you to compare.
This is what we did in school, was Visual Studio, so
right.
I haven't really ventured out more.
Yeah, because once you learn the thing, you learn the thing.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I'm not that great.
Nuts out of the way.